kale is such an amazing superfood and it's so yummy in salads. I just came back from Michigan recently, and in Fernwood, Michigan, if you are even close, you've got to go to this restaurant called Local Restaurant and Bar, and they have a kale salad to die for. So I came home and I kind of am mimicking that, changing it up a bit for my own recipe. Anyway, this kale salad takes the raw kale, and you can find it anywhere these days because it's so trendy. But you want to take the big, heavy, thick stems off, and it's so easy to do. The leaves just fall and pull right off of this large stem. So very, very simple. You have to thoroughly wash your kale. If you get it in the supermarket in the bag, you'll still want to wash it a little bit, but fresh, you're bound to find a critter or two perhaps. But anyway, so thoroughly wash, and I'm going to chop this up. It's such a sturdy, hearty green, but it's not bitter, it's not too strong of a flavor that it lends itself well in a yummy salad. So as easy as that is, that's just washed, chopped kale, again the large stems removed. And I'm going to get that out of the way for a minute. And then this has fennel and jicama in it. I left the fennel whole so you could see what that is, also known as anise. And I'm going to chop the big core off, and I'll only use half of this in this salad. And then if there's any imperfections on the leaves, go ahead and cut that off. You can save this part for garnish if you want. And then I'm going to thinly slice this. Now this has, oh in fact this is such a big core. I'm going to go ahead and cut that core out as well. This has a little bit of a licoricey taste, but it's not too strong for me. If you don't particularly care for it, you can roast this and caramelize it a little bit, and it softens that flavor. So put this in the oven at 425, 450, already chopped like this with a little bit of olive oil. You can even do it with your onions and get those kind of blackened and caramelized after about 20-30 minutes, and then put that in the salad or soups or really anything. It's such a yummy, yummy ingredient. And so those are thinly sliced, but I think again, just to soften that bite, I'm going to make them even smaller and just kind of do these in little pieces. Now for the amount of kale that I have, I'm only going to use a portion of this, and then I've got some soup for tonight that I think I will caramelize and add this to my yummy soup with dinner tonight. But this makes such a yummy salad. Okay, so I'm going to add about half of that. It was a large fennel. Okay, now jicama. Now the restaurant I was telling you about in Michigan, they used, excuse me as I reach my knife, they used roasted apples. And I decided to do the jicama. Now jicama comes with a real heavy, thick skin on it. And if it looks like I'm wasting, I'm not, because if you get too close to that, it's still kind of reedish and dry. But the jicama adds just a nice sweetness without being too sweet. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did. I'm just going to cut these into little thin slices and then kind of dice that up. Okay, in goes the jicama, and I've got plenty of that. I may add the rest of that kale that I have over there to make it a little bit larger salad. Okay, then we have roasted or toasted pecans. Now the restaurant used pistachios, which would be delicious. Pine nuts would be great. Walnuts would be good. I've got some carrots, some green onions, scallions, and some cabbage. And so I'm going to add that. Now the restaurant had radicchio and arugula, I think, if I remember right. And then a grain, some kind of a cooked grain. And this is just a multi-wild rice that you cook whatever kind you have to the direction on the package, or if it's bulk, the way they suggest to cook that. And just work that around. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And then the dressing is so simple. It is just a little bit of, in fact, let me gather my ingredients. Okay, so the dressing for this is just very, very light and simple. I love rice vinegar. You could also use apple cider vinegar, which I think the restaurant uses, the apple cider. So I'm going to put about 1/4 cup of, maybe even 1/3 cup, because I'm making a larger salad, of the rice vinegar. Then you want a light oil, a canola oil, a vegetable oil. If you do choose olive oil, make sure it's the light oil and not too heavy, because this is a very light salad. And I'm going to add just a little less of the oil than I did the vinegar. Now in this bowl I already had about 1/2 teaspoon of mustard, spicy brown mustard. So I'm just going to whisk that together. The mustard works as an emulsifier and helps bring that all together, and also adds just a zip that I want in this salad. Now with the grain that you have with the kale, I hadn't seasoned any of that, so we're going to add a little salt and pepper. And remember, I added the green onion to the salad. You could whisk that in with your dressing if you wanted. Even a shallot would be delicious. So a little salt and a little pepper, a little bit more salt because of all that grain. And then you can season, re-season after you stir this in with your salad. Okay, now that that's all come together, I pour that over my salad, and then we'll stir that up and we're ready to eat. It's just that simple. My grain took about 40 minutes, 50 minutes to cook. So this is a great for leftover type salad. You can throw that in. But I make this salad. In fact, I was dying over it at the restaurant. I wanted to go back before we left Michigan to bring some home with me. And we just didn't make it back to the restaurant, that I had to recreate it because it is just so yummy. Great use of summer vegetables, winter vegetables, whatever you have. That didn't get chopped up real well. That's some of my jicama. And if you do choose to roast apples like the restaurant did, throw your apple into the oven at 425, 450, and roast those along with your pistachios or walnuts. Sprinkle with a little bit of lime or oil just to help retain the color. And then you are good to go. Now I like to serve this with a crunchy bread. This is just some yummy multi-grain bread, and then maybe some garlic butter or hummus. And there you've got an amazing superfood salad. Now think about tossing this with some blueberries, strawberries, some fruit in this would be fantastic as well. But yummy, yummy kale salad inspired by Fernwood's local restaurant and bar. If you're within 100 miles, I suggest you go there. Otherwise, and also whip this up at home. Enjoy.